classic log bait, Prince bait, and Tesla log bait. I'm teaching you guys how to play all three of these decks today with 15 log bait tips.
You have interfered with our affairs for the last time.
Sinatra.
I am literally in the air right now, wrapping up a store. This first class, I am so new at this.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Mars back with another Clash Royale video, and just like I said, I've got 15 log bait tips, 5 for each log bait deck in this video. We're going through 3 battles today that I played in the Royal Tournament. We're gonna start with classic log bait, so let's get right into the game. All right, as you see my starting hand come up here, guys, the first tip for classic log bait is to play goblin barrels early and often. You see my opponent did the exact same thing as me. I like to play the goblin barrel in that safe location on the close right corner of the tower, just in case they have a tornado so they don't get king tower activated right away. But yeah, then your goal should be to cycle back as fast as you can. In this case, my opponent went for an RG, so I had to use the inferno tower. But as you can see, as soon as I get back to the goblin barrel and there's no danger coming at me, I go in for another goblin barrel.
Another one.
Especially in single elixir, you want to go in for as many goblin barrels as possible, even if you think they have a good counter in cycle. And then here with this prince coming in, I use cheap cards to cycle back fast, like the Ice Spirit and the Goblin Gang there, to defend the prince. Yeah, so those are basically the first 2 tips for classic log bait, is to play goblin barrels early and often and use your cheap cards on defense to cycle back quickly. Then skipping ahead a little bit in this game, we're gonna get to tip number 3, which is to princess the bridge, but only at the right moments. This interaction on the left is one that I love to do, and I feel like not enough people know this one, where if they have a princess coming up towards the bridge, you can princess the bridge at that timing and it will get rid of their princess and then lock onto the tower. As you can see, my opponent went in for a big offensive push on the right, so he didn't have enough elixir to deal with my princess on the left for a long time here. And yeah, princess getting a lot of damage. Make sure we have our login cycle for their goblin barrel, and all of a sudden we have both of his towers pretty low and we're cycling more and more goblin barrels. What I want to focus on for tip number 4 is, especially for double elixir, you're gonna have to play good spatial defense. And what I mean by spatial defense is like spacing out your troops on defense. This isn't even the best example right here, this first push, but as you can see, I go Goblin Gang way on the far right, and then I also have the Knight, the Inferno Tower, and the Princess defending. So even though he had RG Goblin Barrel Prince coming at me, I was able to defend it. This next rotation is a little bit of a better example. We have our princess sitting there, we go with our inferno tower, we have the knight off to the far right so that they can't like get everything with a lightning or everything with an arrows or something like that. And the 5th and final tip for classic log bait is to only rocket when you know it's safe to. I waited until the very end of this game to rocket my opponent's tower, and I didn't put myself in any risky situations. All right, we're moving on to Prince bait now, and as you see in my starting hand, I have Goblin Barrel, but the first tip for Prince bait is very important, and it is to play more conservatively and slowly at the beginning than you would with classic log bait. Yeah, Prince bait is 3.8 elixir, at least this version is, and classic log bait is only 3.3, so that's a pretty big difference, guys. You want to save all your elixir, and it is for this exact reason. Sometimes people will just go with a big balloon push or something huge at you right away. And yeah, since I saved my elixir, I had more than enough to defend that, and he still even got a little bit of damage, but he could have taken my tower if I wasn't ready for that. My second tip for Prince bait is, especially in single elixir, you really want to defend all out. So if I had gone with a prince there for this Ram Rider, he would have still gotten the charge hit on my tower, but the prince would have counterpushed a little bit. It wouldn't have been a really bad play, but I wanted to rocket right there just to make sure that my towers stay at really high health, at least in single elixir. Tip number 3 kind of goes along with tip number 2, but it's also sort of the opposite. And tip number 3 is to defend cheaply, but also well. So here I use the Rascals to distract the baby dragon. He gets a balloon hit, but all in all, that was still a positive trade for me because I just went in for Rascals and he went balloon baby dragon. So that was a big positive trade. I defended kind of cheaply, so he got 1 hit, but I got a lot of counter push and ended up getting a ton of damage on both sides from it. Tip number 4 is going to be basically, if you don't know what to do and you're full on elixir, you can pretty much always princess in the back, and that's almost always a good play. Here I go Prince on the Ram Rider, and I should have logged the Ram Rider too, but I didn't do it, so as you can see, he gets that charge hit right there. But yeah, we're in double elixir now. This game is pretty close, and tip number 5 for Prince bait is to avoid leaking elixir, and if you don't know what leaking elixir means, it basically means when you're sitting at full elixir not playing any cards. You'll notice my elixir bar at the bottom. If you pay close attention, it pretty much never went fully down to 0, and it pretty much never went all the way up to 10. I was always floating somewhere between like 2 elixir and like 9 elixir, and you always want to be playing cards, keeping up the flow, and applying some pressure. So now that we've gone over classic log bait and prince bait, here is Tesla log bait, and it is even cheaper than classic log bait, so it's kind of similar. Tip number 1 is to play those goblin barrels early in the safe spot and cycle even faster than classic log bait. So as you can see, I get to full elixir, so I cycle a goblin gang in the back. Then since he has that goblin gang coming at me over there, I decide to play another cycle card. Tip number 2 goes along with this a little bit, and it's to only Tesla if you really need to, especially in single elixir. If I had played a Tesla right there instead of going Dark Gob and Knight, then my opponent could have like rushed with a Mega Knight once the Tesla was expiring. And since it was single elixir, I might not have been able to get back to another Tesla to take care of the Mega Knight. As you can see, this is why I'm giving this tip, because I played the Tesla for that last skeleton barrel, and then my opponent goes Mega Knight in the back. So now my opponent is up a couple of elixir, and my Tesla is going to expire here, but I'm going to show you how to defend this anyway. You want to go with a Knight that's going to get in front of your tower, and then since he went Inferno Drag, I decided to rocket and hit both the Inferno Drag and the Mega Knight. Then the Knight, the tower, and the Dark Goblin are able to take care of the Mega Knight with that E-Spirit distracting, and then I take a little damage from the Spear Gobs here, but he didn't get the Mega Knight to my tower or anything like that. Take a look at the time, guys. It's getting close to double elixir, and with Tesla log bait, it really changes a lot in double elixir. In double elixir, in my opinion, you can pretty much feel free to play Teslas depending on the matchup. So you see he goes Mega Knight here, but I'm going to have a Tesla and a Knight ready to distract that. And I have an E-Spirit for his bats. I've already cycled all the way back to another Tesla, but this Mega Knight is gone, so we don't need to play one yet. But yeah, in double elixir, you can be a lot more liberal with your Tesla placements. I even cycled a snowball on the tower. Sometimes you can play a snowball when you're playing a goblin barrel if you want to predict like a skeleton army, or if they're going to defend with something small. But yeah, then I cycle another Tesla. He goes minor Mega Knight here, but it's still not going to work, guys, because we get back to a snowball. I'm already back to another Tesla here with this Mega Knight here, and he's just not going to be able to Mega Knight there. Tip number 4 is to know when to rocket cycle and get away with it. And basically, if I have to sum this up, guys, it is to rocket after they've gone in very aggressive and you played good defense. So here my opponent's going in pretty aggressive, but you really only want to rocket cycle if you know what they're going to do in return. So I didn't really rocket here because my Knight was down and I didn't have a Knight to respond to a Mega Knight. And this ended up to be a good play because then I can go Tesla, Knight, and Electro Spirit to defend his Mega Knight Bats push. But he ends up going pretty aggressive here, if I remember correctly. Let's see, guys. I could rocket here, but instead I just choose to cycle a Goblin Gang in the back. Much safer play. Then he ends up going Mega Knight at the bridge, guys. That's really aggressive. He goes Mega Knight Bats at the bridge, which is, of course, 9 elixir. And then I defend that pretty well. Then he has to go Goblin Gang on the right, and then he ends up going minor with it too. So now I know that he's pretty much used all of his aggression. So I end up rocketing here, especially when it's triple elixir. It's a little easier to get away with rocketing. Then, guys, it's Tesla cycle, as I said, in double and triple elixir. We have 2 Teslas down, so this Mega Knight isn't going anywhere fast. And now we're really close, 567, but at level 11, that's still not 1 rocket, so I cycle a snowball there, just trying to get a little bit more chip damage into rocket cycle. And this is tip number 5 for classic log bait, guys. It is simply to know your spell damage here. If I had rocketed here thinking the rocket did 509, I could have been screwed, but at level 11 the rocket does 444 or 446, something like that. I know I just said to know your spell damage, but I knew it didn't do 509, and I kept cycling, and eventually we take it out even without the rocket. So there we go, guys. I used all these tips to get myself 3 wins in the Royal Tournament. Classic log log bait, prince bait, and Tesla log bait. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching today's log bait guide video. If you made it this far in the video, make sure to click like and subscribe right now. Doing those little things takes like 1 or 2 seconds, but benefits my channel tremendously, and I really appreciate it. Also, check out all my other videos. I have a lot of other guides and just a bunch of great Clash Royale videos, so I know you guys are gonna like those. But yeah, thanks again for watching today, guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another Clash Royale video.